Join Bev Lazar, spiritual mentor, Reiki master, psychic medium, with Shelly Greenlaw, doula, yogi, and intuitive energy healer. Two sisters walking the path of spirit to share their experience and advice in all things energy, intuition, and beyond. The Empath Sisters.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Empath Sisters. I'm Shelly.
Hi, everyone. It's Bev here.
And welcome back to another episode. We are having a special guest today. And
yes, we are.
Her name is Kimberly, and she's going to talk to us about 9D breathwork. And we are super excited to have her on. I do know that Bev has had the opportunity to experience this 9D breathwork with her, and we are looking forward to just hearing all about it. So yes,
absolutely.
Welcome
and even just learning about her journey. That's also something I'm really excited to know about, because I don't know a whole lot about, I know a little bit, but I don't know your story. And so I'd love for you to be able to share that with our listeners as well, and kind of how it brought you to the place that you're at right now in your journey. So yes, welcome, Kimberly.
Yes.
Amazing. So excited to be here. Thanks, ladies. Thanks for the intro.
Welcome. Yeah. And you do have your own business.
I do. Yeah. Embark Integrative Health.
Great.
Yes. Embark. I remember doing a reading for Kimberly. It was the first time I met her. I channeled the reading ahead of time. And I think we kind of dove in, and I said, oh, and I had already, it was written on the paper. And I said, oh, you're starting something new. And it's like you're embarking on a new journey. It's like a new business. And she was like, that's the name of my business.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Out my water.
Yeah, it was so awesome. I was like, I had to like turn the paper, and I'm like, look, it really says embark on my paper. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was
amazing.
Awesome. Oh, cool.
The very beginning. Like that was right when I was about to launch, and I was so scared, which is, about a year and a half ago now. So now here we are. There I was, just a burnt out registered nurse. And now here I am running my business and leading breath work and yoga and doing a lot of nervous system work with many people now. It's been amazing.
Awesome. Oh, that's awesome. So yes, let's hear about your journey. So how did this begin for you when you wanted to start your Embark Integrative Wellness?
Yeah. So it started with my own path. As for, I know many wellness practitioners, that it often starts with our own inner journey first, right? And it was my own journey of feeling completely stressed out, overwhelmed, even being diagnosed with anxiety, which was an absolute shock to me. And it really led me down a path to discover that, having anxiety is so much of a label that we can carry, when really it's a big dysregulation in our nervous system, right? We all have anxiety, we all have anger, we all have sadness, we all have all the emotions. So it led me on a journey to realize, well, why am I so anxious? Why am I so stressed out? Why am I feeling like crap? And the way that I did that was first starting through yoga. I started the practice of yoga and really did not like it. When I first started, I thought, this is terrible. I'm sweating, I'm shaking, I'm angry. I don't like this. And then I realized, I need this. This is what I actually need to be doing, and I need to be feeling these things. So that was the really big start of me feeling my own emotions and sorting through them. And I then went to Bali. Actually, that photo on my wall is from just over 2 years ago, or just around 2 years ago. I was in Bali and did my yoga teacher training, which was incredible. Started teaching some yoga. And then as soon as I kind of got home from that trip is when I saw you, Bev, and decided that, you know what, I'm going to launch a business. And so at the time, I was working as a registered nurse and had been for about 6 years at that time. It's now been around 8. And really realized that I really wanted to bring in a lot more of other aspects into people's health and the way that we're treating people and healing. And I realized that, a lot of the stuff we were doing was quite superficial, and there was a lot of depth that really needed to be uncovered. and healed like energetically. And so I really wanted to bring together both worlds. So I started doing some health coaching and some yoga, and then I soon after found the practice of breath work for myself. And then that completely blasted my world open. And now, like over 1,000 people that I've worked with breathwork alone through Embark. So Embark really has a big main pillar of Embark has become breathwork, because it's the most powerful, profound tool that I've ever experienced myself and with others to really get to the root of this emotional healing and deep energetic work.
Yeah,
Nice.
for sure.
That's
It
amazing.
sounds so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It really does.
Yeah.
Breathwork is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it's really, I always feel so much more connected, more centered. My nervous system feels really good. That's usually pretty much, I do breath work at home, but that's kind of what I consider like my meditation time, is really just doing breath work. It's not just
Yeah.
sitting there being quiet and just whatever. I'm actually focusing on my breath and bringing breath into my body using different like techniques, I guess, of breath work. Because there are quite a few out there actually, and different like views and opinions or data. I don't know. There's just lots out there. So I kind of follow, I do a lot of like nose breathing. That's kind of how I do my breath work. I don't use my mouth at all, but I love it. It feels really good. So it's a practice I've been doing every morning. So I actually really find it really beneficial. So
Yeah. And yeah, I really see that, like, to me, it's for us to get down into our bodies. It's such a powerful way to bring us from like our mind that just overthinks and goes nuts to bring us into our body. We're literally inhaling from out this outer wild world in and getting into deep into our bodies and into our lungs. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I love the daily practices are absolutely transformational. And then, paired with the 9 deep somatic journeys is just mind
yeah.
blowing.
Yes.
Yeah, for
They really
sure.
are. It was quite an experience. So yeah. So would you like to share with us what that looks like, or what a session would look like? I know I've experienced it, but I'd love for you to share with our listeners if they haven't experienced it or haven't heard about it, maybe have heard and are kind of curious what that
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah, I would love to share. Absolutely. So 90 Breathwork was created by Brian Kelly, a man that's living in Bali, actually. And so he has created this technology, and it's like state-of-the-art technology where you're actually utilizing a pair of headphones during the experience. So not only are you practicing the somatic breath work, but with the headphones on at the same time, you're really having a fully immersed experience. So there's 9 different layers
Mhm.
that are happening during the breathwork experience. So it's really enhancing, you can call it like the Cadillac of breathwork in a sense, because it's really helping you to get into that theta brainwave state, which is where we're more suggestible for change. Same state when we're just falling asleep or just waking up in the morning, or through hypnosis, the same sort of brainwave state that we're getting into. And so when we get into that state through the breathwork and through all the layers of sound, that's when a lot of the magic starts to happen. And a full experience with me through Embark is a 2-hour experience from beginning to end, if not longer. Oftentimes I have a hard time
Mhm.
wrapping up, because most people have such profound experiences that it's hard to say goodbye at the end, and it's really important that we integrate. So
Mhm.
yeah, to expect the
Yeah.
beginning of an experience is to we meet together. I share for the first 20-30 minutes about exactly what to expect, kind of explaining what I am now about how this works, and how it actually works in the brain, and what to expect, what not to expect, and how to really keep the driver's seat, because ultimately through breath work you're in control the whole time. You've got the gas pedal, you've got
Yeah.
the brake, which I feel is super important, and that my clients feel really
Mhm.
safe in the experience. And then when we actually get the headsets on, you hear multiple levels of layers of sound, of vibration, of hypnotic suggestion. There's subliminal messages. There's sound that's moving around the headsets. It sounds like it's moving through the headsets. And I've got additional breathwork training. So when I lead them, you'll be hearing my voice as well, leading the actual journey, and encouraging you what to do. And we speak on different parts of whatever our theme is for the experience, whether it's about fear, whether it's about stress and anxiety, whether it's about healing ancestral lines, many different
Mhm.
themes to it. And so you really get this fully immersed experience. And we're in that active breath pattern for me, anywhere from 40 minutes to like 70 minutes, depending on which journey we're experiencing. There's multiple different themes. And then we get to a peak where we all scream together and let it all out, let all this energy move out. It's super powerful. And then it's all about integration after and coming back into the body. So that's like a quick snippet about what to expect in that 2 hour experience.
Yeah, it's so cool.
That's
the one that I attended was letting go. So
yeah,
it felt it was very powerful. Absolutely. Shelly, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so like that sounds really, really like interesting. And what got me thinking was like, so you had mentioned earlier that you you have suffered and you were diagnosed with anxiety. So how long have you been doing it personally? And have you noticed like a difference in using 9D breath work to help with your anxiety?
Yeah, great question. 1000%. I actually, when I first was, and I don't even like to say that I was diagnosed anymore because it's not a label that I carry anymore,
Yeah.
but you're right. I was. But it's funny when I say that when I was diagnosed, but when I was when I was really battling with a lot of anxious emotion, I actually started on medication for a while. I took medication for about 9 months it was. And after I discovered the practice of breath work, which hadn't even discovered the 9D yet, but without even using 9D breath work, I started to really regulate my nervous system. I was off the medications within a matter of maybe a month or two. And that was my goal for me, is to come off of them. And I've never felt better, especially utilizing these daily breath practices. And then in addition, these journeys that I'll experience myself, anywhere from one a week to every couple weeks, every few weeks. I make sure that I do one for sure once per month myself. And it's kind of like a cleaning of the gutters in a sense to do one of the deep experiences.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I think that's amazing. And I think that, there's like so many different types of modalities out there for everyone. And and you're right. I feel that everyone has a form of anxiety, whether, it is stress related or not related. Everybody has a form of, anxiety or something that is triggering their nervous system for sure. And so it's nice to hear that, in your case, you've had anxiety for a long time and you had been on medication and things, and that this is something that you actually found that worked and that, helps you every day, which is really amazing. So I think that's great. I really do. I think that's, like wonderful. Oh, I see we lost. we lost our other co-host. So
but yeah, it
she'll
really
come back.
But yeah, it really is. It's like, it just proved to me that I don't want to wear that label for a backpack like the rest of my life. It's like, if I can get back into regulation, it just means that I'm dysregulated and that I can get back into regulation. And now that's what I do a lot of work with my clients and for people who are experiencing similar to what I experienced through stress, anxiety, fear, and overwhelm, and through breath work, through one-on-one coaching. We're able to get them back, or I'm able to help them to get themselves back into this state of regulation, and where they can get their life back.
For sure. And so my next question to that would be, like, how often would you suggest for someone to take a class? Like, how often? Like, I know that like we do have somebody here in Shore Park that does 9D, and I do see that they offer like 9D classes per week, that type of thing, and they have like a schedule. So what would your opinion be like in that, to help others understand like how many times a week you go, or what, like you said, like, you used to do it lots and then now you're doing it once a month type thing, like as a maintenance thing. And what would you suggest?
Yeah, such a good question. It really depends on the person too. some people, they'll come from one experience and then they're maybe feeling like they had a lot of integrating to do after because they felt like a really profound shift. So it might be that they want to come back in a month's time. And others that dive in, I've had people coming 3 times per week off the beginning and really feeling like they're wanting to do a deep cleanse and move this stuff through. And so I often will recommend to people somewhere maybe around once a week. Once every 2 weeks is a pretty nice way to start, and then you get to decide and really listen to what your body is asking of you. If you're feeling like you still got a lot more to process, you might want to hang off a little bit longer, but if you're like, hey, no, I'm ready to go to the next level, let's sign up again. So I've got
Nice.
lots of consistent clients that'll come every couple weeks, every few weeks, for a journey.
Okay,
Nice.
so you just mentioned, this is going to be just another tag along on this question, but you had just said, to the next level. So there are different levels in each, like, would you call them categories, or like how does that, so like if you wanted to like work on letting go, right? So would there be like different levels on letting go?
Right. Yeah, good question. So there's not necessarily like a beginner, intermediate, advanced by
Okay.
any means at all. There's different themes to the journeys, and right now there's about 11 of them, I believe, that have been released, and the 90 team is working on releasing additional, like one per month or every couple months, which is pretty cool. Some of them are longer than others. But again, I don't even categorize them, or I don't even tell people how long it's going to be before we start, because for some, I might come in and do an experience that's 50 minutes that's called the Origin that blew my mind apart. And I had a massive experience. Whereas I might do a letting go and moving on journey that's an hour and 20 minutes.
Right.
And it didn't really maybe resonate as much with me, or at the time where what my body was needing to let go of in that day, or
Right.
time
Yeah.
in my life. So, and
Okay.
when I say, the next level, I mean, the next layer, I should say, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
good question. Yeah.
Okay, so then, yeah, so each session, you would say, then would be different times for each person. So would, like, let's say for myself, let's say I came in and I wanted to do a session of 90. So would somebody, myself, expect to be there for an hour, or would I be there for half an hour? Would I be there for 2 hours? Like, how do the sessions work for
Yeah,
timeline?
2 hours. So every experience is a
Okay.
full 2 hour experience. So, and again, if the journey that I'll be leading, everybody that comes is doing the same experience at the same time. So
Mhm.
I might say that I'm hosting on this Wednesday, I'm hosting the reconnecting with your inner child. That's a new journey that's been released, powerful one. And let's say I'm hosting that on Wednesday. Everybody that comes, whether they're the first time doing it ever or they've done it 10 times with me, we're all experiencing the same journey together. So that'll be, if it's an hour and 15 minutes, then it's, again, relatively all the same. The beginning, I'll always introduce and tell people what to expect. We'll all go around and share maybe a little bit about what we've been going through. There's always such a deep connection in every experience between people who come. And I've really implemented that in my experiences now, that we all get a chance for our voices to be heard in the beginning and connect with each other. And then we all lay down with the experience in our own little zone with an eye mask. You don't even know anyone around you. You forget you're even transcend really reality.
Yeah.
And then at the
It's
end, we all
true.
come back up and meet together in circle and share and integrate. So, sometimes we maybe got a little bit extra time at the end, which is very rare because, I mean, oftentimes we get something in the beginning or whatever it may be.
Right.
Oftentimes we'll go over right around that 2 hour experience. No matter the shortest, like, overall journey would be like 53 minutes. And there's that includes, when you go to lay down, it's not like straight into the breath work. It'd be relaxing, grounding, getting used to the sound vibration. So when I mean that the active breath work minimum would be like 40 minutes, that might just the active portion of the headphone part, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I also want to just quickly throw in there on top of that is that if anyone does ever go in person and experience this as a group setting, you also don't have to share your experience at the end if you don't want to.
No, not at all. You
So I
don't
know
have to share.
some people get depending on what they're experiencing, some people maybe don't feel comfortable. So it's not an obligation to share. But it's definitely there's opportunity, I guess, for you to share with amongst the group or with Kimberly, if there's something that came up or want to share your experience, then you can definitely do so. So
Yeah.
I know some people get really scared where they're thinking, oh my gosh, they have to share, and then they won't go to something like that. And I'm like, no, I really want you to go, but you don't have to share.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for adding that. Absolutely. Yeah, it's all I think confidentiality. You get to really be in your own zone. You don't have to say a
Yeah.
word for the entire 2 hours. Like that's what I also
Yeah.
love about work. You don't have to say a single word. You just get to have your experience. And if you want to reach out to me afterwards and reflect or ask questions, I'm there for you, but you don't have to say anything. You get to come in and have your experience. It's just an
Yeah.
invitation. Thanks for bringing that in.
Yeah. And I was also going to ask you when you do like your private ones, if somebody wanted to do 9D with you, is that something you can do virtually, or is that only in person because of the headphones that you're
It is
using?
something I can do it virtually. I prefer not to if at all possible. I do have some clients though
Yeah.
from across the world that that's our only option. And
Right.
so we will do it. I can stream the audio soundtrack through. It's not the headsets themselves that have the tech in them. It's the way that the sound is recorded. And so you can
Okay.
actually use a good quality set of headphones at home through a computer or
Nice.
a laptop, and then we change some Zoom settings for you so that you can have more of the different layers of audio.
Right.
But so it's definitely possible, but I absolutely prefer to be in person, and so do my clients because we get to do a lot more. There's just a lot more a deeper energetic connection that way too, and then I add essential oils at the end and whatever else, like just to smell and to enjoy and little things like
Yeah.
that. Hands on touch. It's if it's welcome, like things like that where we can help move energy.
Yeah, it's a very personal experience. I mean, just as a practitioner myself, I prefer in person too. I love being with people. So, but it's nice to have the option if it is there. But I just thought maybe for our listeners, if they're out of province or anything like that they wanted to reach out if it was something that they could do virtually. So that's
Yeah,
good to know.
I've had some people say that who've done it both. And sometimes they said, yeah, my at-home experience was actually just as powerful as my in-person experience. And other times
Nice.
say, oh, it wasn't. I wish I would have been there with you. But like either way, people have had really great experiences on either end. So yeah, it's absolutely
Nice.
possible.
And
Okay.
do you also do just breathwork sessions with clients as opposed to doing like 90?
Yeah. So I've got training as well to lead. I do other just like I call them somatic breathwork journeys. So we're not using the headset. So I've led that's
Yep.
for larger groups. Right now I've got 12 headsets. So that's the biggest group I can lead. But I've led at conferences now for up to 40 people where I've created a playlist of music that's powerful, inspiring, and that's what I'll play through a large sound system, and then we all breathe together and do all the motions. So we're just not having the same healing and sound vibration going on, but
Right.
again, now at those, it's like even the energy in those rooms of what can get moving even without the headsets is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's another option as well.
Oh, that's awesome. So you obviously do like bigger groups, even like corporation stuff. So that's good to
Yeah.
know, putting that out there.
Yeah, I
I
love it.
loved the experience. I had just my husband and I like picked dates. And so I had picked it as a date for us to go. So he didn't really know what it was. And I was just like, oh, we're going to this 90 breath work. He's like, okay. And then I didn't actually know that the theme was letting go. And it was kind of very fitting at the time. And so, yeah, as Kimberly explained at the beginning, we all brought mats and brought blankets and was just, comfy. And she was talking for the beginning and explaining what to expect and your headsets there and your eye mask and stuff. And yeah, and then once we dove in, once you put your eye mask on and your headset, it's almost like you're just in a room all by yourself. You completely do forget that everybody is there with you. Um, and so then I just remember all the different sounds. You almost feel like you're just lost in the sound. And it kind of makes me think of if somebody has ever experienced doing like a float, where you kind of take all your senses away and you're just in this abyss. And that's what it felt like there when you put the headphones and you took away your eyesight. It was just like you were immersed in you felt like you were floating and all these different sounds are playing. And then you hear other things in the background and it feels like it's just moving through your entire head from one ear to the other. You feel like you're on this loop and it's like, oh my gosh, like it's pretty cool. I really loved it. And then you hear Kimberly talking, you know, and you can hear her supporting you and guiding you. And I know that as we started to like build our breath, I know that you were really, I would have to say that you were really encouraging, you know, and you can do this. You got this, keep going, you know, we're almost there. And it's just like, so you really do that really good job encouraging to keep going in that breath and to not lose that momentum. And it's awesome. And then we do get to a point where it's almost like even the tones or the music and the vibration, everything is building and building and building. The intensity, you can feel it. I feel like it was meant to bring everything to the surface. That's what it felt like for me and my body. It was just like, okay, it was like bubbling to the surface. And then we got to a point where it was like, you're like, we're going to like scream it out. And I know you had explained this at the beginning too. And I was just like, hurry up. I was thinking in my head, get there because I need to scream right now because it was just built up there. And so, yeah. And then once we got there, it was just like, you know, screaming as loud as you wanted to. And that was just like, you just felt such relief after, like, there, finally, I got all that stuff out. But it's interesting in my own experience, as we were going through the breath work and there's that building sensation, you're hearing all these things and you're guiding us. You get to that point where it's almost like I felt like all these different things were coming in of my own experiences in life. That were targeted to letting go, people, experiences, situations. It was just all coming in. And I'm just like, oh man, I just want to let all this shit go, you know? And then it was beautiful once you just let go. And then it was just like this like beautiful thing afterwards. Like that was just, it was awesome. It was a really, really good experience. I loved all of it. And I feel like I don't know. I really love that you are in it, that you guide along. And I don't know if that's what everybody does with 9D breath work, but I love that you do that. And you do a very, very good job at that. So I really appreciated you doing that for the group. So it was very powerful.
Thank you. Thanks,
Yeah.
Beth.
You'll have to try it, Shelly.
I don't know. I'm actually sitting here thinking in my head too much, maybe, but
yeah, I was just gonna say thinking that's your first problem. Don't think about it.
yeah, I actually was making me think of more questions because I can relate to, I mean, like I said, a lot of this is, you know, that we've talked about is about breath work and things like that. However, you know, we did talk about people having anxiety, and I'm one of those people. Like I do have extreme anxiety, like you did too, Kimberly. So for me, listening to all this is already giving me anxiety of that, even the way Bev is explaining about how it's like build and build and build. So in my mind, I'm going, oh my gosh, like I'm already thinking about my heart rate. I'm already thinking about like, is this going to make me, you know, do this, do that? So that's why I said earlier, it's making me really think, but that's the anxiety that I have. And so what would you do with someone like me that you could explain to them that it is safe, it is this, you know what I mean? Like, I guess that would be more or less of my question, is that someone that does have high anxiety, who is, you know, thinking that way, what would you say to them?
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that in, Shelly. I'm saying great questions. They are great questions. Thank you for asking. Great questions. Yeah. I love that you brought that, because I, myself included, and many, many clients, I've had people come that are like, they're so terrified to join.
Yeah.
Someone brought them, or they're like, my friend made me come here. And like, you could tell they're riddling with anxiety as I'm explaining. Right. And they're like, or someone will say to me, like, I've got massive panic and I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
And I love, first of all, it's like, heck yes, for showing up. Like the fact, if you showed up, like that is so courageous, amazing.
Yeah.
Because again, you're right. A lot of it is the mind that just won't even let us do any sort of a change, right?
Exactly. Of course.
Effort and anxiety are like, go hand in hand. They actually need each other. So it's the same thing how I really hated yoga when I first started, and I actually really needed it. There's going to be a version of like, I don't want to do this breath work because I don't want to do the hard thing. I don't want to sit down and meditate because it's excruciating. I was there too. So it's like, first of all, the first thing is to show up, to say, okay, I'm doing this. The second thing that I would say, and that I do say, is you are in complete control. That is what I love
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
And while you're in this experience, if you wanted to ever stop, you can stop. You can just stop the breath. You can take your headphones off, even if you wanted.
Mhm.
That's always an invitation. And
Yeah.
you can leave if you wanted. You know what I mean? Like, you absolutely are in total control. The speed of your breath, and the depth of your experience is really within your hands. You get to choose how fast you breathe. You get to choose how deep that you breathe. So if it's feeling like too much, you can slow it down. And the main, the way that we really want to be leading ourselves through breath work is to find the edge of discomfort, like the
Mhm.
growth edge, because growth requires discomfort. So we want to get to breathe to a rate that feels a little challenging for you, and that might be different for you, Shelly, than it is for
Exactly.
Bev. Bev might
Mhm.
be going deeper or faster because she's ready for that. You might be breathing quite like maybe more shallow and maybe
Yes.
less fast, and you're
Mhm.
still feeling a little uncomfortable, but that's your edge, and you're riding your edge,
Yeah.
and that's where your growth is happening. And so it's really important that you know that, like, it is 1000% safe, and that you are in complete control the whole time. And it's such a powerful way to look that anxiety, that panic that's bubbling up, when you can feel it come up and you say, hey, look, I'm driving, I'm in control here, I'm going to slow this down for us, but, like, hey, we're going to ride this out, I'm okay. And people will often have profound experiences like, wow, I normally would go into a full-blown panic attack, or like me, amping up my body like that would send me into panic. But
Yeah.
instead, I re-established this relationship with this emotion that I've been experiencing, and I was able to see it for what it is and feel it and allow myself to feel it, which is what we're doing, is breathing and feeling throughout,
Right.
and know
Mhm.
that it's not as scary or as big as I once thought it was. And I was
Right.
able
Yeah.
to get.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
It's
that
always the fear of the unknown too, right?
Mhm.
And when we have anxiety, I feel like anxiety is just suppressed emotion. So I feel like it's telling you something, and it's there, but we want to try to ignore it and push it away. And
Mhm.
it's just like, ah. And I find that when it comes up, that's because we gotta look at it, or we should move it, or whatever, and get that opportunity to kind of look at it. And if you can, again, I love that you said that it's, and that is also, sorry, something what Kimberly said to us was that you are in control.
Right.
Because I remember the night that we went, there was somebody that was very, like, scared and was just nervous, and it was just like, you're in complete control, you go at your pace, she's just guiding you, and at any time you don't have to do it, like nothing. So it's
Mhm.
nothing really scary, but it can be because of that feeling of
Right.
what's coming up and doing the hard
Exactly.
things, like you said. And that's what was so great about the support of hearing Kimberly talk to you, was just like, you can do this, you deserve this, you've
Mhm.
got this, keep going, you've made it this far. And you're just like, hell yeah, I did. Like,
Yeah.
you just want to keep going, and you want to face it, and you want to have that breakthrough, because it's like, this is why I'm here, and I'm not letting it win, I'm winning today. And that's
Yeah.
how I felt.
Yeah.
I love
No,
that.
yeah, and I appreciate that. And then that's why I wanted to bring it up, is because, like I said, I am one of those people. I am one of those that suffer from it. However, I think also too, because I do have a medical,
Mhm.
I don't want to call ailment, or condition. I
Device.
don't like saying that, but
Yeah.
I have a pacemaker. I have a defibrillator. And so a lot of my fears and anxieties come from that. And so
Yeah.
usually a lot of things that, if I get, anxiety, my heart rate goes up. And so when my heart rate goes up, then it might trigger, something in my pacemaker. And that's a
Mhm.
fear for me. And so my next question to that would be, just, it's not just anxiety, it's even ailments with other people like me that have something that, could cause
Mhm.
that to go off, or
Mhm.
whatever, right? Because breath work is to do with heart rate. I don't care what
Yeah.
anybody says. It does it. Whether you go
Yeah.
from low to high to whatever, breath causes your heart rate to go up. And
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
when
Or
you have
down.
anxiety and you have that on top of that, it goes even faster. And so,
Yeah.
for someone like me who doesn't want, even though I know, like, my heart is fine, like I'm
Yeah.
air quoting, but like, my heart is fine, but my my device doesn't know the difference between if my heart is fine because of my rate. And
Right.
so for someone who has something like that, how would you, I guess, just sort of, try to keep their mind at ease that's not like, do you allow people like me to come and do it, or do you not? Do you not recommend that?
Yeah. So there are like contraindications, meaning
Hmm.
that I'm not going to get you to do the full blown technique the
Right.
whole time throughout, because absolutely heart rate and blood pressure and breath are intricately connected. That's why we use the breath for the nervous system, so we can manipulate it, move it
Right.
down or move it
Yeah.
up, right? That they go hand in hand. You take a slow
Yes.
breath, your heart rate slows down. You breathe faster, your heart rate picks up.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so there are contraindications, meaning
Okay.
anybody can still come to the journey. I've actually, like, pregnancy is a contraindication because it can stimulate early labor. So I
Oh,
still actually recently have led 2 pregnant women with a modification, and they've had beautiful experiences. So
okay.
you're not going to be doing the stimulating breath. You're going to be breathing through your nose at half the speed and still breathing deep in the body, but you can get into a transcendental experience state through meditation alone.
Right.
And so like, you still are accessing those beautiful places, but in a different modality, instead of
Right.
alternating, the way the blood flows to the brain, which is what we're doing in these deep breath experiences. You're breathing at
Yeah.
half the speed. You're still receiving all the sound, healing the vibration, everything like that, but you're taking a modification. So anybody with
Okay.
a pacemaker, heart, lung conditions, anybody that has had like a recent surgery, like that hasn't fully healed the wound, pregnancy,
Right.
epilepsy, these kinds of things. And that's all
Perfect.
on a waiver form of head. And I discussed at the beginning of class 2 and give everybody a modification. So you still get to be very safe in the experience.
Perfect.
Thanks.
That's
Yeah.
all I wanted to. I also wanted to just put it out there so that people understood too about, if there are contradictions or,
And I do
things
this.
that people can't or can. So that's great. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet you do. And just so amazing, like to see people come and do their healing and to be a part of it and witness it and guide them. And it's just such an honor. And I'm sure Kimberly, you feel that. I know Shelly and I feel that way with our clients too. And
Mhm.
I'm sure you feel the same way with your clients that come. It's just so like, it's just so beautiful. And it's just so
Yeah.
honoring to be a part of. Yeah.
It is an absolute blessing. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Wow,
really
that's
is. That's
awesome.
amazing. Do you have any other questions, Shell?
No, I'm good.
No. You're like, oh, that feels better.
Yeah, I feel better now. Well, no, it's
Really
just like I
awesome.
said, like, we do have lots of listeners, and I'm not the only one that, has things like this.
For
And
sure.
I just feel like it just would help a lot of our listeners, and at least
Yeah.
encourage people to, like, that you can still do this, and
Yeah.
that it's not going to be something that, like, that you can't, right? So, which makes me
Yeah.
feel a lot better, right? Because then now I know that, okay, this is what I can do, right? Or
Mhm.
whoever else can relate to me, right? And so
Yeah.
that's, yeah, no, it's good.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Is there anything else you would like to share,
Yeah.
Kimberly, with our listeners about yourself or breath work in itself or 90?
Mm.
Like, is there anything else that's speaking to you that you feel needs to be shared?
I would just love to connect with anybody. If you've got more questions, I'm happy to answer them. I love to chat with
Yeah.
people. My Instagram, it's at embark.wellbeing is my Instagram, and I'm quite active on there. Feel free to follow along. I'm posting lots about breath work and upcoming events that I have and
Awesome.
challenges and stuff. And so please feel free to reach out if anybody's got questions or would like to try and experience virtually or in person with me around Saskatoon. I've been traveling all over
Mhm.
Saskatchewan actually recently. So I'm on the road
Amazing.
even.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Yeah. And
great.
I'll be in
No,
Alberta this weekend, actually. We're hosting a retreat out there. So I'll be leading as well in Rocky View County in Alberta.
nice.
Cool. That's
Nice. And
amazing.
we will definitely have all of your information in
Mhm.
our show notes. So,
Yeah.
and on our Instagram as well when this episode airs. And so you will be able to contact Kimberly at any time if you guys all, or any one of you need to ask her questions or just want to follow her along or whatever. It
Yeah.
will all be there in our show notes. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Sure
you.
will be.
Great.
Yes, we thank you so, so much for joining
Yes,
us today
we
and
do.
sharing your beautiful story with us and the beautiful work that you are doing and offering and sharing with others to help them on their healing journey as well. And
Yes.
yeah, just love and light to you and everyone else that you work with. And thank you for being here. Thank you to all our listeners for being here and tuning in and
Yes.
supporting us.
Yes.
And all of Kimberly's info also will be in all of our socials as well. So you'll be able to find a way to connect with her and ask her some questions or maybe experience. So yes, so thank you everybody for tuning in today with the Empath Sisters. And Shelly, Kimberly, and I are all sending you lots of love and light and gratitude wherever this may find you today. Take care, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.